Welcome to an update on the Carfection Land Rover Discovery Sport. We've been doing updates on this car in Footlock pretty much every fortnight, but I thought I'd do a sort of a full roundup for those of you that haven't seen all of them. And just to recap, what have we been using it for? Well, mainly it's been a support vehicle on the various shoots that we've been doing, most memorably I think for the Rolls-Royce Dawn shoot that we did down in Cornwall, where we were up all night shooting star trails whilst we left the cameras doing their things. Most of us actually, sort of three of us slept in this with all the gubbins obviously. It brings me to the first point about this. One of the things I really like, I mentioned in the first update about this when I introduced the car and gave all the numbers about it, just what a TARDIS it seemed, because from outside it looks pretty small, and then you get in here and there's a huge amount of room. And one of the things I particularly like is the fact that if you're sitting in the back, you can move the seats forward and backwards. That middle row of seats, we've got seats right in the back as well, which are very clever, but the fact you can move the middle row of seats, and they're split as well, 2/3 to 1/3. So if you have say a child or just a small person like a jockey or one of the lighter weights of boxer perhaps, straw weight, I think that's the thing, then you can give them less legroom and move the other set of seats further back. The other sort of support vehicle it's been for me is going to various rallies in North Wales and up on the Scottish borders and also across in Belgium in fact, and it's been tremendously good there. Particularly sort of it's almost the perfect support vehicle for going and spectating at rallying, because particularly if you're going into the forests you can park literally wherever you want. You don't have to worry about turning around. If there's a ditch then it's fine, you know you're going to get out of it. There have been some really good roads up on these places, and it could be a bit frustrating, you think, sort of finding yourself up there in this, but being on the road I found I've used the road dynamic mode a lot, so you have to click it onto this and then you get far less roll in the car and more steering weight, a bit more precision. And the car's actually really quite good fun on a twisting piece of road. You have to use the brakes to get it into a corner, but then you can actually use the four-wheel drive in a more sporting fashion than I had ever imagined with this car. So that's been a really nice surprise, and it hasn't been a letdown to find myself on a really good piece of road. And of course you get the lovely sort of lofty driving position, so you can actually see through corners, and that always helps. It's always quite adds something to the experience, I think. Things I haven't enjoyed so much, well, there are paddles on the back of here. I haven't used them, and usually when there are paddles in a car I will always find that I use them. It's just a default thing. I like having control of the gearbox, but with 9 gears it just seems too hard to keep on top of which gear you want to be in, so you're much better just leaving the car to get on with it. Having said that, still with 9 gears, just occasionally on the motorway I think I've noticed that situation where you go to accelerate but you just want to kneel on top. You don't need it to kick down a gear, and I just find it frustrating knowing that the gearbox thinks instantly it's got 9 gears, of course it's going to want to kick down, but you don't really want it to. So gearbox, not completely sold on that. MPG, I brought that up in the first review of this car, and that's something that's been curious. It was pretty terrible really to start with, but recently, out of nowhere, because it hasn't gone back to Land Rover, it hasn't been near a dealer or anything, it has been much better actually. I've done a couple of motorway trips and I looked at it afterwards and it had done high 30s, so I think it was 37.1 is the best I've seen, but it's been much better. Sat-nav's been pretty good actually. I find getting into find podcasts and things from my phone is a bit of a faff in this system. It's all touchscreen basically. There are no ancillary sort of buttons to do that sort of thing, apart from the phone, which there is the phone button here, so that's very useful. It just goes straight to recent calls, so you can make a phone call pretty easily, and it always hooks up to my phone like that, so that's fine. It's just accessing some of the media on a phone, which is not as intuitive as say Apple CarPlay. The other thing I really like about this car, and this might sound odd, but living with this car a lot, being able to say, I'll take the Land Rover. There's something quite nice about that. Perhaps I'm just a badge stock or something like that. I hadn't really realised I was, but there is something rather nice about having a Land Rover. Range Rover I'm not so sure about, but a Land Rover Discovery Sport. Let's take the Land Rover. sounds good somehow, doesn't it? We've done some pretty long continental journeys in this car as well, 4 up, and it's been really comfortable. We've stuffed all the camera gear in it, plus 4 adults, and nobody's fallen out, which is pretty extraordinary. There have been times when all 3 people, other than the driver obviously, have been asleep in this, and as a driver it's been great. I've found it pretty relaxing actually, and you get out at the end nicely unstressed. Anyway, that is a quick update on the Land Rover Discovery Sport that we've been running, and we've done, well, it's just clicked over 13,000 miles, so we'll give you another update fairly soon. And yeah, we've got another month, 2 months for this car I think, so we'll see how it is at the end of term. We'll do an end of term report on. To see our first report on the Discovery Sport, just click on the box at the top, and please don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of the updates on this car. Thank you.